Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for that vote of confidence. Moving on to the next position of vice chair. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
point
go
of
ahead.
information.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion on the floor that all current past board members remain the same for the upcoming year.
We have
I'd
a
like to
motion.
put that to a vote to hold.
Any opposite?
Status quo.
Yeah. 'Cause
Madam Chair, I'd like to just make a small amendment to that we don't need a treasurer. Otherwise, stay the same.
So unless there's a second to maintain the status quo, then there's no point in continuing with that motion.
Charisma, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as your potential amendment, you guys do need to elect at least the 4 main positions. Anything besides that is not needed, though. I would recommend just doing it by position, even if you guys are all voting the same way, just for just to maintain how it is. Yeah. That's what I would recommend, yeah.
Sylvia, yeah. Okay, so to be clear, everyone, it's recommended that we follow individually by listing each position and nominating and voting. So at this point, we're at the vice chair position. Any nominations for the vice chair?
Okay, Madam Chair, point of information again. So what happened to my motion? The motion has to be voted down or approved by the board.
So if you guys, again, you made the motion. If you guys want to carry it out or take it to a vote, I'm more than willing to do it. That would be my recommendation, is to not do it.
I second the motion of Board Member Harvest to keep the status quo as we go into the next year.
Okay.
Charisma.
Dean Harvard. And then TJ Charisma seconded. So now
Yeah, so I'll carry out the roll call. If I could just ask, so the vice chair position is for member Cook. And then your guys' secretary and treasurer from last term. Umaki was the secretary. And then who was the treasurer? Oh, he was both the secretary and the treasurer. Okay. So the current motion on the table, made by member Harvest and seconded by member Quaresma, is to elect member Cook as vice chair and member Umaki as joint secretary and treasurer. Quaresma?
Aye.
Oh yeah, that works. Francher. Harvest. Cook. Mendelson. Miller. Umaki. Yamamoto. Ishikawa. Motion passes.
thank you. Congratulations, everyone. That was, we have to think, we actually have to think on that. Thank you. So are we good to move on then? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us on that. So we did our election of officers for the next year to 2024, and we also sworn in our members for this coming year. So we are now on section 4 of the agenda for our first responder monthly reports, and I see HPD here. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Aloha, good evening, everybody. Corporal Muna with the District 2 Community Policing Team. For statistics, I'd like to once again invite everyone to honolulupd.org. At the bottom of honolulupd.org, there's a statistics quick link. If you click on that, it'll take you to the crime mapping website. The crime mapping website, any type of classification of crime you're looking for, any location on the island and window of dates, you can find it there. So specifically, if you're looking for thefts in your area, so on and so forth, you can find it at that crime mapping website. The only thing I always say with that to keep in mind is the statistics generally are where the crime is reported, not necessarily where it occurs, but for the most part, crimes are reported where they occur. So if you just keep that in mind. For safety tips, we're still in summer break. So I'd just like to go over some safety tips as far as traveling. If you guys are traveling during summer break. First and foremost, obviously, make sure your home is locked and secured. If you have someone else in the house to double check those doors and windows, go for it. Anybody who's on part of a neighborhood security watch can say that if you gain the trust of your neighbors to keep an eye on your home while you're gone, it's very invaluable. It's wonderful to have. Again, that's only if you trust your neighbors. If you really don't trust them, maybe, but not a good idea to let them know you're gonna be gone for 2 weeks. For both the Wi-Fi lighting as well as cameras, if it's possible to invest in those, it's a great idea to have if you're traveling because both you can turn on and off your lights via app as well as check on your house through Nest or Ring cameras, so on and so forth. USPS, make sure you stop your mail before you leave for a couple good reasons. Number one, if it does build up and things are sitting on your porch and building up in your mailbox, it kind of shows that you're gone. Also, it deters any temptation for some porch pirates come and steal your stuff off the porch. While you're traveling, I know this is tempting. A lot of people on social media, but try not to post as you're going on your trip. I know it takes the magic away out of it. I get it, but some people might not be as friendly as they are on your friends list. And if you let them know, hey, this is day one of a 14-day trip on the seas, you're kind of letting them know that you're not going to be home for a couple weeks. So if possible, maybe post those when you get back. For those with children or grandchildren, maybe look at getting a Kiki ID. For any Kiki ID events that we have, we do post it on our HonoluluPD.org District 2 page. All public events at the bottom. If we have an event for Kiki ID, great idea, bring them by. We'd love to give them an ID. So heaven forbid, hopefully they don't get lost, but if they do, it's a great thing to have. And as far as the little ones too, if they can memorize your cell phone number or a couple of family member's cell phone number, if hopefully they don't, but if they get lost, they can at least let a trusted adult know what their phone number is. Always use the hotel safe. Unfortunately, I did see during my time in Waikiki that precious items do end up disappearing. So passports, things like that, please use the safe. And lastly, while you're out exploring, I know, when you're in a new place, you're not really familiar with the area, but if you're going to be looking down at your phone for directions, just try to be cognizant of your surroundings. Unfortunately, some robberies do occur when a visitor looks kind of lost and then they get immersed in their phone. And that's when, unfortunately, sometimes you see them get punched, the phone gets taken, and then it's gone after that. So just be aware of your surroundings if you're going to be looking at your phone, especially at night. And for safety tips, that's all I have. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. We have questions from the board. Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on the library and that fence. Are there routine visits from you guys?
Yeah, so thank you. Yes, and I will definitely see what I can do as far as finding how regular. But yeah, we did pass on the information. So there are regular visits, and I also look forward. We're trying to plan. We're thinking about, or we're going to plan a meeting with the librarian to move forward as well with the other projects to get our community policing team involved in what we can do to help deter crimes and suspicious activity in the library as well.
That's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll get the librarian to get me in contact on that.
Thank you. Yes, the ideas that we came up with, I really like them. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
That's very good. And we also have a update presentation scheduled on tonight's agenda from the contractors who are working on that, on the Wahiawa Civic Center area. So they're also going to be giving an update as well.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I have Dean, go ahead.
Does HPD still do house checks?
Yeah, I don't.
That's an old school thing.
Yeah. So
Getting myself, but
funny you brought that up because I was actually Big Island PD before I came over here, and that was I got in '98, and that was like you said, it was back then. You get the paper, has the location, you do the checks. What date, time, what is the condition of the house. I guess theoretically you could kind of send a request if it goes, as long as I guess it goes to the upstairs down. Specifically for house, I've never seen it, so I honestly can't say if they do or not. But I do remember them being a thing. Yeah. And then of course, if you let our office know in community policing, if you let us know, if whenever possible, we can always do what we can as well. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Sylvia.
Hi. Do you have any updates on the accident that occurred on Kilani at the coffee or tea bar? Do you have any information for us on that?
The only information I have on that is probably what, unfortunately, I don't have much more than probably what you've seen. I just saw it, drop some more information on the news. All I know is that there was apparently some kind of argument. The female, I guess right after the argument, crashed into T-Presso or the gelato store. No injuries to the point where anyone requested an ambulance or to be transported. There were police reports made. Anything outside of that, if it's an ongoing investigation, I wouldn't be able to speak on it anyway, but they did make the accident report. From what I'm told, she actually did have license, registration, insurance, all her proper paperwork, things like that. So ID and verification of the vehicle and so on and so forth was all documented.
Yeah, there's a video on Facebook or Instagram, and it was pretty hairy.
Yeah, no, it's
Watching it, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, the video, I saw it too. It's shocking. And, you know, from my own personal observation, it's unfortunately, I'm not too sure whose truck that was, but, you know, because that truck got hit pretty hard. But fortunately, I think that truck probably took a lot of the brunt before it hit the store. So had that truck not been there, I don't know if it might have been worse, but yeah, it was a bad video for sure. Yeah. That was the four that were sitting there. Oh yeah, I saw that, and it was like it was a brand new truck. I was thinking, oh, I mean, it's unfortunate for the truck owner, but then also at the same time, exactly, if the truck had not been there, the full force would have been in the wall. Yeah. So, yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, questions from the community on virtual? I think questions from the community here in Wahiawa. Okay, I'd just like to add one thing, it's not as drastic as what we just talked about, but 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine's sister, she was at the Wahiawa Longs and she was in one of the handicap stalls in the front, and she was loading her things into the car, her vehicle, and someone came and ran off with her cart, which had her bag in it, and like took off, and I guess they tried to chase him down, and by the time they called HPD, they were gone. But she literally had just opened the back of her trunk, and you know, so I think a good cautionary tale for everyone is that, you know, either keep your, I don't know, but I mean, I was very shocked and sad to think that that would happen in Wahiawa. I mean, it's getting a little bit too brazen with these incidences too, but that was shocking, and to hear that happened, because I do that too. I mean, I open the door and a trunk, and I don't even think to hold on to the wagon, but that person actually took off with her wagon, with all her things in it that she just purchased, her bag, and just like ran out of the parking lot.
Yeah, brazen is exactly the word I was thinking of too. It's something that you would never think would happen, because you have to at some point unload your groceries. And if you're by
exactly.
yourself, you have no choice but to turn your back at some point.
Exactly.
You'd never think you know,
Yeah.
right there, someone would actually try and pull that off. So yeah, it's
Share that for everyone, just to be a little more careful.
good you brought that up.
You know, we always think about longs as being a part of your day, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah, I
it's
got
like,
that one.
oh, I don't know, no, I'm gonna get, but anyway. Okay, any other questions for our police department?
A quick point, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
Just along what you folks were just talking about, purse snatching. I've have a lot of times just gone up to women in the store who leave their handbag, their turn, and they're grabbing this, grabbing that, and they come back. Same thing. You know, nowadays, ladies, all you need is a charge card, a phone. You don't need to have your purse with you. If you do take your purse, as soon as you open your trunk, put your purse in the trunk with you. Then bring your groceries in. Always take care of your money bag first. And then secondly, same thing on the wagon. If you're doing shopping, oh yeah, that's another one. My wife is like that. Put it around your neck. It's a lot safer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great points.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Okay.
Have a good night.
And do we have our fire department virtually? Hello, HFD.
Hello, good evening, board. Good evening. Are you
Yeah,
guys
go
ready
ahead.
for me?
Go ahead. Can you
Okay.
hear us? Yeah, you're fine. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, firefighter 3 Lloyd Gaddis at the Wahiawa Fire Station. I'll be talking about incident reports for a neighborhood board for the month of June. It looks like you have notes for information previously requested. I'm just gonna say that the HFD does not have the requested information regarding the property land owners for incident report number 23-38500. It is recommended to contact the Department of Planning and Permitting at 808-768-8000. All right, I have the incident statistics for June. Fire related, we had 3 structure fires, 1 wildland brush fire, 1 cooking fire, 6 activated alarms with no fire. Emergencies, medically wise, where we respond with EMS, we had 76 medical calls, 7 motor vehicle crash collisions, 1 mountain rescue, and that are statistics for our 911 incidents. Our HFD fire safety tip and announcement has to do with grill safety. Always use barbecue grills outside, away from doors, windows, vents, and other building openings. Place the grill well away from the siding and deck railings and out from under eaves and overhanging branches. Keep children and pets at least 3 feet away from the cooking areas, and keep starting fluid, lighters, and matches out of children's reach. Cook with caution. Be alert and stay at the grill while cooking. Never leave a hot barbecue unattended. Light a propane grill only with the cover open. If the flame on the propane grill goes out, turn the grill and the gas off and wait at least 5 minutes before relighting. Periodically remove grease or fat buildup in the trays below the grill so that it cannot be ignited by a hot grill. Let the coals completely cool before disposing of in a metal container. Never empty coals directly into the trash can. Do not store or use a grill on a porch or balcony, including any porch or balcony on an upper level of the building. Always store propane tanks outside of buildings or garages. Remember to properly inspect and maintain the tank fittings and tubings according to the manufacturer's instructions. Vapors leaked indoors can easily be ignited by pilot lights or electrical equipment, causing an explosion. And that's a safety tip for HFD for this month. That's it. Any questions for me?
Stand by. Any questions from the board? Yes, Dean.
Sir, where's the closest ladder for a fire to respond from for the Wahiawa area?
So that is coming from the Wahiawa fire station. Usually, the other ladder, nearest ladder would be coming from Waipau fire station.
Oh, kind of far. Is there any plans to get a ladder out in this area centrally? I thought Mililani Mauka was equipped with a ladder.
That is untrue. Malco was supposed to receive a ladder at the time, but they had a rescue company in place during that time for whatever administrative reasons. I do not know the exact answer to that. The latest word I've heard is that they're rebuilding the Pearl City Fire Station and relocating that station. Believe at the more near the intersection of Waimanoho Road and Komamai. And I believe that they will be moving a quint or a ladder apparatus at that location, which will make it a little closer to the Wahiawa area.
A little closer, okay. Is there anything on our end that, we could write a letter to the chief to request a ladder be considered either for the Mililani or the Wahiawa area station, or even, I don't want to say North Shore, but I mean, it seems with Mililani, with Waipio Valley, with our high rise here, we should have a ladder closer. And I just kind of surprised to hear that we don't.
I totally agree with you. As far as requesting information that I will look further into that on my side through copy, and I'll see if I can get a better answer for you for next meeting.
Thank you.
Or you can try and contact our fire chief.
Yeah, that's yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, questions from the community participating virtually? Okay. Okay, and any questions from the community here in Wahiawa? Yes, okay, stand by. You have to come to my, whichever one is closest for you. Take your time. Or you can come right up to, yeah, anyway.
We live on a tricky street. So we're at the top of the street. Our fire hydrant is at the end of the, well, almost about, I say about an acre away, a lot away. And because we live on a 2-parcel property, we're the house in the back. We've actually had couple of true emergencies where they didn't know how to find us. Google lately has been giving the wrong addresses. We realize that our address is one of the ones that they're giving the wrong directions to. What we're concerned about, my husband and I'm vision impaired and he has a brain condition. And a true emergency could happen at any time. How do you find us in a situation like that?
So, yeah, we rely on the information given from our fire dispatch. And typically we use Google Maps. That might probably most likely not be the most accurate, and that's the reason why. May I ask where exactly your location is or your address? That way we can address it.
This is
appropriately.
great. This is something I really wanted to address a long time now. Our address is 1939 Kie Place, but we're 1939A, so we're actually the house in the back. In the back of our house, there is a road, but it's a very narrow road. It's called Coena Way. I have seen the fire truck tried to come up and it can't because it's just too small. When a neighbor had a true emergency, and I was truly amazed at all the work that the firefighters put in. They walked down Coena and they walked down Lihi and they went to the person's house. But that general area, Alahula Way, Lihi, Coena, Kie, we all get kind of mixed up in the map where they don't really know where the house is. What I do is I do the old style. I take my blinking lantern out and I do this and I direct the emergency vehicle to our house. But I've actually seen them go by, come up the wrong road, get stuck, cannot come any further. And in the meantime, we're sitting there waiting for them to come. And I wanted to know what we could do to put us on the map so someone would know, okay, when the call comes from this area, maybe those 3 streets, this is how you get to it. And I'm
Okay,
not trying to be special. I'm just wondering what happens then.
Well,
If
first
I
of all,
may-
apologize for any inconvenience that was, yeah, I mean, that's unacceptable. Is this part of it where you do live in yeah, like you mentioned, narrow streets where some like you access to your actual location might be challenging. So in case of emergency and if somebody's available, may want to have them come out to like the main streets to wave off first responders to the exact location, and that would be a great help, tremendous help, if you're able to. Yeah, and that does happen, unfortunately, where especially in those tight narrow streets, it's hard to find your exact location, and
Actually done
that's
it with a
most likely
lantern.
the case.
If I can just interject, maybe one of the things we can do to help is if later on after the meeting, if I can get all the street names you gave us, and then I'll contact Department of Transportation Services just to see, and as well as Department of Facility Maintenance, just to see if there's enough signage. Like, are there street signs? Are they the old ones and faded? Or are they the new ones? Maybe that area needs to be looked at for better signage. If that would help, even with HFD, would that help to have better signage like arrows, or the street names are larger maybe? So if you don't mind, after the meeting, I can get that information. We can try and see if either of those routes would help.
Yes, thank you.
And then HFD we'll keep in contact with you as well on those issues.
Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead, Sylvia.
excuse me, wait,
okay.
I think I can add some information to that. Koena Way, not Koena Way, Holua Way, Alahula Way, Mawe, they're called ways. They're not city, they're not state, they're private. So that's information that somebody's going to need. And that's why they've been private for many years. I've lived in that area for, can't tell you how old I am, but for many years. And it's always been an issue. And the fire department, bless them, they've even on Dole Road would hook up to the fire hydrant and walk all the way up Koena Way at the top to shoot a fire out, or to spray water. So, and thank you, fire department. You've done wonderful work in that area, but it's not city or state. The signage is, as far as I know, adequate. I live in that area. And but it is private roads.
Thank you. See, this is why the board, we were just talking, we all work together to get the answers for you. So HFD, did you, just to reconfirm that those streets that we were talking about, Alahulu Way, Holua Kiekie, they're, and
Yes,
all those streets are all private streets, actually. They're private streets.
yeah, the private streets. Let's see if we can get in touch with our code section to see if we can do something with our maps where we are able to make exact addresses to be able to find locations there.
Okay. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, HFD. And then we're good with that
Thank
for
you.
now. And then we're in recess next month, but if we have an update, we'll present more information on the next meeting. But go ahead.
You can also, I just looked it up as you were talking, and you can report wrong directions to Google Maps. You can I just typed in, the wrong directions to Google Maps, and it pops up exactly what you need to do.
Oh,
Okay.
that's good. Okay, that's helpful too. Okay, and Joe?
Just a suggestion, considering you and your husband's conditions, why not invite HPD and HFD to come by during normal times before the fires start? The community policing team, the guy that was up here talking earlier, he'd be a good contact to set up a meeting just so they can get familiar with where you folks are listed.
That's a good idea too, yeah. And
I've,
June? Oh,
I've actually contacted them, but never invited them to come and see where we're at. But it applies to a few houses there, not just mine, maybe about 4. So we're kind of a sitting target. The fire hydrants are far away and we're hard to find.
Have a block party.
Okay.
Okay, and June?
Does,
You're fine. Go ahead.
doesn't Honolulu Fire Department conduct a walk around through neighborhoods periodically? I know they used to do that in the early 2000s where they would actually have training days where just to become familiar with each neighborhood. And I know the dispatchers previously, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to, part of their training was also to whatever neighborhoods that the dispatcher is responsible for, they would actually walk those neighborhoods before. They don't do that anymore.
Oh,
But
excuse me,
GPS is accurate. That's the problem.
So
Hold on.
that is true. HFD still periodically does we call it company inspections, and that does include street front dwellings. But that only happens after we take our commercial inspections prior. So our street dwelling inspections are rare for the most part, but for the most part, we do try to maintain our area familiarization and we try to be rest on our locations and addresses in our area, in our first area, and try to be as familiar as possible in our first area. And keep in mind, there's a lot of streets to take note of and remember, but we try our best to be familiar with our area.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions for HFD? Okay, Dean?
Not really for HFD, but just a point. Ma'am, what you can do personally at the end of your street where the main cross is at, you can actually have a small sign, reflective sign, especially at night. That would be helpful for you if you have an emergency. When emergency units are responding, they'll see that reflective sign indicating 145 house this way. You know, it helps them because I know that area is very poorly lit.
Thank you, Dean. Okay, any other questions for HFD? Okay, we have one last question for HFD, and I'm so sorry, officer, but could you give us your name again? We missed it at the beginning.
This is firefighter 3 Lloyd Gaddis, Gaddis.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No
And
problem.
thank you for your all your information tonight. And we will talk to you again. We'll be in recess next month, so we will see you in September.
Okay, hopefully I'll have answers to the addressing questions for next
Yes.
meeting.
Yes, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Okay.
Good
Okay,
night.
moving on to item, but good night. Moving on to item 5, our board's initial convening actions. We are going back to our board actions at this time. So we are on 5A on the agenda to determine our meeting schedule for the first year of August 2023 through July 2024. Do we have a motion on any of the items listed under 5A?
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that everything stay as status quo.
I second.
We have a first and a second to keep everything. Gonna do a roll call? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote on that.
Thank you. So the motion on the table is to keep the day, time, and location of the Wahiawa Neighborhood Board meetings as status quo. It was made by Member Harvest and seconded by Member Umaki. Oh, I'm sorry, for the recess schedule included, the rules of participation and the standing committees. If I could just have, what are the months of your guys' recess?
We recess in April, August, and then December.
Okay, great. So, yeah, the motion on the table is to keep the day, time, location, recess schedule, rules of participation, time limits for speakers and presenters, and the standing committees as is, maintain status quo.
Point of information, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Also to note, when we go to Whitmore, so the NA could get that also in the records.
So what Board Member Harvest is saying that where it says daytime location, that includes our Whitmore location, because we meet in Whitmore in February and October.
Thank you, Member Harvest. I've noted that, and it is included in the motion.
Oh, yes, Jude?
We're gonna have a discussion on this.
If you, oh, yeah, thank you, I'm sorry. Yeah, because we had the motion in the second, so yes, we can open for discussion. Thank you.
I just wanna, how can I put it? Where I wanna put it or request that the Wahiawa Neighborhood Board participates in the Navy's Citizen Advisory Board for Environmental Advisory Board. If you recall, they said that once they stood it up properly, that they would invite the Wahiawa Neighborhood Board. So I'd like to either fold that into the military affairs or something separate.
Yeah, that would be separate, June, and that's something that was brought up previously, but we have to work out some things with the military first, and then it'll come on the table for formal. Yeah, but so that's separate from this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Sorry. Okay, go for the roll call.
Sorry. I'd like to respectfully ask or nominate or suggest Erin Mendelson for the Education Committee. If she's in agreement with that. And
Point of information, Chair. We have to address the current motion on the floor first.
what is the current motion?
The current motion is to keep the status quo as far as the rules of participation, the dates, times, locations to include February and October to be held at Whitmore Village.
And the recess schedule and the rules of participation and the standing committees.
I can go
Yes.
through it one more time and say it explicitly if the board pleases. So the motion on the table that was made by Member Harvest and seconded by Member Umaki is to keep the day, time, and location of the Wahiawa Neighborhood Board meetings as is, with the February and with the October 2023 and the February 2024 meetings being held at Whitmore Village. It's to keep the recess schedule for August 2023, December 2023, and April 2024. The rules of participation, time limits for speakers and presenters will all remain the same as last board term. And the standing committees, education, military, transportation / Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, water, and Hawaiian Affairs committees and their chairs shall all remain the same as well as per last term. That is the current motion.
Call for the question.
Okay, I will conduct the roll call. Quaresma,
I'm in support.
Francher, Harvest, Cook, Mendelson, Miller, Umaki, speaking to them.
I'm sorry. I have a question. Can there be an amendment to this?
The time for discussion has already passed. Yeah, we're in the roll call vote now at this time, so just with the current motion.
Okay, all right, then I.
Yamamoto, Ishikawa. The motion passes with a vote of 8-1 to 0.
Okay, thank you, everyone, as we go through this process. Okay, we are on item 6 on our monthly reports, which are limited to 3 minutes at least. We try to keep to that. Our federal report is in from Congressman Tokuda, and I do have a report here. Okay, so the report from Congresswoman Joe Tokuda is not coming. Okay, her report is Representative Tokuda led a group of Biden administration officials to a visit to Molokai to meet residents there of Kalaupapa and tour the island and concerns of health care facilities. They also participated in a food distribution in Eva Beach, which provides meal kits, including local produce to families with children in rural communities. Representative Tokuda held a West Side Town Hall on July 8th, 2023, and more town halls will be scheduled in the coming months. She also partnered with Representative Diane Harshberger of Tennessee to launch the Congressional Bipartisan Rural Health Caucus to address issues relating to access for health care. She also recently introduced the Grow Your Own Food Act to expand the micro grants for food security programs with the goal of increasing locally grown food in food insecure communities. She's also wanted to announce that the Military Academy nominations are now being received. Please see her website for additional information and FAQs. And if you have any questions, you can always keep in touch with her office at locally at 808-746-6220. Again, Congressman Tokuta's office for any questions or concerns, 808-746-6220. And next we have our Army representative, Captain Lebowski.
Sorry. Hey, good evening. Aloha, everyone. Congratulations to the newest elected members of the board. And also happy to see some familiar faces still hanging around, sticking it out. Just a few announcements from us. You know what? It's okay. We're just gonna roll with it. I'm great. Thank you so much. Okay, first item on the agenda. So job fair on July 25th, there's going to be a job fair at Kapolei High School, 8:30 to 2:30. The event is open to the public. If you want to take a look at some of the jobs available, go to www.himwr.com. Click on the employment banner, and then it'll kind of give you a heads up. You can also apply on site there at the job fair. These jobs are ranging everything from business operations, like golf courses, bowling alleys, food service, as well as child youth services like daycare. Next item is training. Our monthly training agenda is posted in the local library, as well as everyone that's on the distro for the neighborhood board. However, if there are any concerns in terms of noise or any sort of issue with military related issues, please utilize our concern line 808-656-3487 or 808-656-3159. In November, we will have our next iteration of the Joint Multinational Readiness Exercise here in Hawaii. As we get closer towards that training event, there will be more information in terms of what we're doing, both with here on Oahu, as well as the island of Hawaii, with the U.S. Army, as well as our partnered military branches and nations that we will be training with. Just want to make it clear, we will be very deliberate in terms of our communication with the community in order to uphold our partnership as being good neighbors. Lastly, some good news stories. Thank you to everyone that came out here to Schofield Barracks to celebrate the Independence Day celebration that we had. We had about 30,000 that came out. That's both civilians and ID card holders. So thank you so much for your support. Hope you enjoyed the fireworks show. Lastly, this week, this is my son. This week, one of our own soldiers in my unit, he'll be receiving the Soldier's Medal. I bring this up because he received this medal for an act of courageousness that he earned here locally, over here at Green World Coffee. Essentially, the soldier on his free time was driving towards North Shore, like most of us do, saw a crowd of people, decided to pull over. He's a medic, so just to see what was going on. Immediately rushed into the crowd of people and essentially saw a woman taking quite the beat down. Crowd of people, no one was stepping in. He immediately came to her aid, used his own body to shield her enough to get her away. Long story short, once HPD apprehended this gentleman, it turns out he was wanted for murder in California, and he likely saved that woman's life. So absolutely. Some local representatives as well as local media will be on site for the presentation. Our commanding general will be presenting that medal. So you'll see a little bit more on the local news. So just wanted to share that good news story. This will be on the 19th. Oh man, yes. That's all I have. Please, any questions or concerns? We will take them.
That was a great report. Any questions for our Army representative from the board?
Chair, oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
If there aren't any questions from the board members, I do have a concern. So on at 122 Pekelo Place, Pekelo Place, and 126 Pekelo Place, the community is concerned about trees that have fallen, and those trees are on the East Range side, and that's normally the responsibility of the Army to maintain a buffer zone between the houses and the range. And if you could kindly take a look at that and report back to us next time about what measures were taken.
Absolutely.
Representative, let me just repeat. So it's 122 Pakello and 126 Pakello.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Representative Peruso. Yes, ma'am. I will get back to you about as far as what's going on, especially if that is on the East Range side. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Representative. Any other questions from the board? Okay, questions from the community virtually? Questions from the community here in Wahiawa? No, okay. Thank you very much. You
I've
have a
heard the working
helper.
mother really can't have it all. So
You have a helper. That's
yes,
good.
thank you so much again. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So, oh, there she goes. Very cute. Oh, and they're back. We are, and the next item on the agenda, item 6A3 is our Navy representatives. We don't have a report from them at this time, but we will be shortly receiving them again. Item 6B, Government Agency Board of Water Supply. Is Nicole on? Nicole from Board of Water Supply? Okay, we'll come back and check. For Department of Transportation Services from, report from Fawn. We did ask, at last meeting, we did have several questions about what was happening on the H2. Did something happen? Okay, okay. Going back to the development that's happening on the H2 coming into Wahiawa. It was described, but the Department of Transportation was explained that this is part of the Interstate Route 2 and the Maunalua Freeway Guardrail and Shoulder Improvement Project. So the H2 between Mililani Tech Park and Exit 8 Wahiawa, that those existing dash lines were eradicated to shift the lanes to the left in order to provide enough room for the shoulder lanes that will be constructed with new concrete pavement. The number of lanes will remain the same, and according to plans, construction is to just replace and improve what's there. They're not adding or widening the shoulder. And the run will be dedicated, and there will be a wider dedicated lane for the Wahiawa Exit 8. So again, that's the question we had received from the community about what's going on the H2 inbound to Wahiawa. And also I do have one other small tidbit from the Navy, I'm sorry. So Navy did report that the 253 Red Hill mandatory repairs at Red Hill Bulk Fuel Faculty gravity defueling is scheduled to take place in October through January. They have submitted 212 of 253 Department of Defense completed repairs, and all those reports are going through the quality control process and also going through the State Department of Health. So far, they have received 76 of the ones that have been reviewed have been conditionally approved. Okay, so that is just a brief, but again, they will be back with us with more complete reports. Going to make one more call to Nicole at the Board of Water Supply. Okay. Okay, then we're going to go down to item 7 on the agenda, which is residents' concerns and community announcements. I remind everyone that you can make an announcement of an event that you're planning or of an activity that's happening or something that, community awareness. And you do have up to 2 minutes to make your announcement. Are there any community announcements to be made? Yes? Oh, yeah, you can go up to the microphone. Yeah, go ahead. And then the two online, stand by.
Since the month of, this is regarding the handy van services, and I know that you probably going, oh, the handy van again. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Janice Fernandez. I'm speaking on behalf of my husband and I, Edward Fernandez and Janice Fernandez. Yeah. I'm speaking up about the handy van services and issues that's been going on, not just here in Wahiawa, but island-wide. Recently, my husband and I were told that they would no longer pick us up at our residence. Back to the road issue again, because our road is too narrow. Where we live on Kie Place, Wahiawa Heights, our road is not too narrow. It's a questionable area that might be kind of tight for turning around, but it's possible because they've been doing it for the last 4 years. We got a letter saying that they will no longer pick us up. They will have to walk a block out. So from Kie all the way down to Dole Road and board the van there on Dole Road. That's really far for us. My husband doesn't walk. He can't walk anymore. I'm vision impaired. I can't see very well. As I've come tonight to this evening event, my sister had to come with me because I really can't see. The van is our only way, is our only transportation. All of our children, our grandchildren, and our grandchildren and our children, they live on the mainland. They have no intentions of coming back because of the cost of living. They come to visit, but that's it. And that's maybe once every 4 years. My issue is this. We had to go and file a modification letter. We had to respond with a modification letter, which we did. Then we had to respond with an appeal letter, which we did. I'm vision impaired. I can barely read any of this stuff. My husband still can write, not that good, but we did it. We did it as a couple, as a husband and wife, and we stuck to it and we did it. In the end, our appeal was, it was approved. We just got the word on Saturday. But to let you know that they didn't want to come pick us up. They didn't give us any explanation of why even. Manolo Morales came to our house to do a story. It was a good story because it's probably telling you more about what the issue is than what I'm explaining now. If you have a chance, you can go to YouTube and look up disabled Wahiawa couple. If you look up disabled Wahiawa couple, you get the gist of the story of what I'm trying to tell you. It's not just happening to us. It's happening to a lot of people. The handy van was just issued new vehicles, not a very large fleet, but a good sized fleet of smaller vehicles so that they can get up the roads that they call narrow, that not necessarily is narrow. But they're not using it in the right places and for the right reasons. I believe that, and I don't know this for sure, but I believe that that Wahiawa to the North Shore, Haleiwa, is getting all the big vans, all the big bulky vans, the 20-seaters, the 10-seaters. We're not getting those new vans that the city and county just got, or the handy van just got. But yet we know they're here because it was on the news. I just want to get it out there. If anybody else is experiencing this or experiencing what we've gone through, or know anyone that is, follow through. File your, I'm sorry, I just can't think straight. But file all of those letters. They're just short. They're easy to fill out. Give your blurb and your explanation of why you feel they need to come and pick you up. And hopefully you'll be heard, but some people aren't being heard. They're not. I got heard because I took it to the top. I took it to Manolo Morales. I took it to Hawaii Civil Rights Commission. I took it to the American Disability Acts, And I followed through. It wasn't easy for me. If I look tired to you tonight, that's because I am. I'm really tired. I'm tired for the last month and a half. I spoke to someone this evening that said, well, you got it done. It was really fast. Thank God it was fast because my energy was running really low. If you know anyone who's going through the same trouble or the same problems, I don't want to say call me, but I'd be willing to help because we have to push forward. We're a community of our own, the disabled, and we're kind of being bypassed or looked over. But some of the rules and changes that they're making, they're not giving us explanations. To this moment, really, I don't have too much of an explanation because they've come up and picked us up before with the big vans and the small vans. Why you can't do it now?
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Fernandez. It's admirable. You, like you said, you stuck to it, and that's admirable. And it's something, oh, hold on, Joe. But it's something, that maybe we can, on for a future, on a future meeting, it's something we can look into to find out a little bit more of how that works. And, how maybe there's a way to help others as well, to maybe it can be on their website, there's a form you fill out or something to make it simpler or something. But maybe that's something in the coming months we can work on and see what we can do with that to make it better, yeah, to improve it. But congratulations to you, I want to say, because it's not easy, like you said, and you and your husband both persevered. So thank you very much for doing that and sharing your story with us. We appreciate that. Thank you.
I hope it'll help others out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Fernandez, hold on. Hello. Wait, Auntie, come back. Madam Chair, may I?
And then Joa is after you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Just a quick point of information. You are correct because my wife is disabled and does rely on the handy van for her transportation. And recently I found out after purchasing $50 of your coupons, your tickets, I never noticed there was an expiration date on those tickets. Why? I don't know, because it's only for handy van riders. So it didn't make sense, but the city has a policy that they have an expiration date on there. If any of you have those expired tickets, call the handy van people. They are exchanging them, but it is on a call by call base, so please, again, like Mrs. Fernandez said, and also appeal, you went right up the chain of command. That was perfect. Hawaii State Disability Office, the ADA compliance, and then also go into the federal one, notify your federal elected officials. But congratulations, and I'm glad, because it has happened to us also. We waited 4 hours one time for a pickup at Kaiser, which I was livid. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean, and then Joe.
Yeah, it's a good subject for OMPO and also for our city council member. Seeing as how this is city issues, I will definitely bring it up.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Joe. Hey, any other comments before we release Ms. Fernandez as she's standing up there? So sorry, long night. Thank you so much. Okay, walk slowly, please.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. And then we had three? Okay, so who's first? Okay, so we'll go with James, then who? Garrison, and then Gormantang. Okay, go ahead, James.
Aloha, Chairman. Thank you for the time, and board, I appreciate it. My name is Jack James, and I'm the founder and president of Honolulu 7 Recall. And first, I must tell you, I am moved almost to tears by Mrs. Fernandez. That was a wonderful testimony. And I am moved by that. At any rate, I'll get my composure. Our organization is, as a result of the 64% raise with the city council members, we attempted as citizens to come together and get Chair Waters to allow us to speak to the council. He would not allow us. We attempted to get on the agenda of council. He would not allow that. We wanted the council to take a vote on the pay raises. He would not do that. And of course, on July 1st, the raises came into effect. So our organization has organized now by the thousands, and we're going to recall all 7 of the council members that voted in support of the budget in a 7-2 vote on the 7th of June, 2023. We've already commenced that organization. We're a political action committee. We have teams of volunteers coming together in all 7 districts. And I just wanted to come tonight and introduce myself and let you know we're going to be in your neighborhoods. We're going to be a good neighbor. We're going to come to all of your neighborhood board meetings. If you have any questions of what we're doing in your area, I'll leave with the chair and put in the chat tonight how to get a hold of me. We want to be very, very responsive to your board as to any of our activity in your neighborhood. But it's probably going to take us 14 months to get all 7 out of office. And we're dedicated to this proposition, and we will be successful. I just one postscript, and it's because of Mrs. Fernandez. The amount of the raise came to $388,000. Do you know that $388,000 on the relationship between the federal and the city and county right now, it's an 80-20 split. The feds pay 80% of a handy van, the city and county pays 20%. Do you know that $388,000 would have bought 9 new handy vans and not gone in the pockets of those city council members? I want you to know that 9 handy vans it would have bought. We think the raises are ridiculous, and we're just coming to you tonight and letting you know we're going to be very active in your community to have your council member removed from office. So I'll take any questions and answers. I'll come back at another time and speak. I am speaking to neighborhood boards on the agenda. Happy to do that for you, but we just want to be here to answer any questions you have, okay?
Well, thank you, Jack, for joining us for tonight for your community announcement. And my email address is listed on the Neighborhood Commission office, so you can send me an email at a later time. We are
I
in
will.
recess for the month of August, and we do have a few things already scheduled for September, so we'll see what happens in the coming months. But at this point, I just want to say thank you for sharing your concerns with us. And we do have a similar situation on our agenda later, further down on our agenda. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Okay, we're gonna go to, what's the next one is Garrison.
Thank you, Chair. I think actually Miss Susan Gorman Chang was ahead of me. If you want to go ahead, Susan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Hi, Susan. Did you want to go ahead? I'm sorry. It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Susan, you
Okay.
can go ahead. Yeah.
So Susan, go, you go.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, thank you, board, for letting me speak. I'll try to make this quick. I am here in support of the Shutdown Red Hill Coalition resolution. I'm part of the Shutdown Red Hill Coalition. And I know, I was hoping this would be moved up on the agenda. I know it's been on the meeting agenda for a few months now, and you've not been able to vote on it. Just wanted to let you know it's still very important and very relevant. And this board and only one other are the only ones that have not signed on to that reso. So we're almost at 100%. So thank you for your time.
No problem, Susan. And we always try to get to it, but every meeting, if you've ever watched, we totally run out of time because we have so many things going on, but it is on our agenda. So no matter what number you're at, it remains on our agenda so that we can get to it at a certain point. It may not be in the form of a resolution. It may be a form of a letter of support or whatnot, but I'm not committing to what form of it will be. Like I said, it may not be a resolution. It could just be a letter of support. So we just, if we ever get to it, but we will. That's why we always keep it on our agenda because we want to get to it. So hopefully. Okay. And then so now we are to Garrison. Okay.
Right on. Thank you so much, Chair and members of the board, and congratulations to everyone who's elected this evening. That's really exciting. My name is Rebecca Garrison. I am a community organizer with Sierra Club Hawaii and HAPA, the Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action. I hang out a lot with the Oahu Water Protectors, and I'm also a member of the Shutdown Red Hill Coalition. I'm here alongside my water drinking friends, Susan and Diane here. They are also members of the coalition and have been really spearheading this movement to have the first ever island-wide supported resolution. And that is the resolution urging the safe and immediate defueling and permanent decommissioning of the entire Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility at Kapukaki, also widely known as Red Hill. And we'd really, really appreciate your support in the resolution, not just a letter of support, but actual signing on to the resolution. And we have worked with different neighborhood boards. We can revise wording, we can mend wording, whatever it is that you folks are concerned about, we are more than happy to work with you. Again, like Susan mentioned, this would be the first ever island-wide supported resolution in the history of the neighborhood boards, and we just have 2 more to go. And so we're really, really hoping and we're really excited that you'll be hearing the resolution a little bit later on in the agenda. And again, if there's anything that we can work with you on in terms of wording, we're more than happy to do that. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Again, so it has been on our agenda and hopefully we get to it. And I think I just announced earlier too, that one of the tidbits that they forwarded is that they were going to be doing the defueling. 253 Red Hill mandatory repairs at Red Hill bulk fuel facility. So they are planning on doing the gravity defueling starting in October and ending in January. That was one little bit I don't know if you heard that earlier, I announced that, but okay. All right, very good. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. Any other announcements?
Chair Ishikawa.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, TJ.
Hi, aloha. I just wanted to invite everyone on the last Saturday of this month. That
No,
is,
TJ,
yes,
is this a community announcement?
yes, it is.
Okay, go. It's not your announcement though.
No, it's not.
Okay, thank you.
On the
Okay.
last Saturday of this month, July 29th, the City and County of Honolulu will be hosting the 2nd annual North Shore Disaster Preparedness Event. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Haleiwa Gym. We have HICO, HAIMA, and other agencies that are going to be sharing information and tips on disaster preparedness. I would invite all of you to come down and spend the day and get some information as we have this impending tropical depression about 600 miles away from us. So again, that is Saturday, July 29th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the City and County of Honolulu is actually hosting this event. So please join us.
Very good. Thank you, TJ. July 29th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the location is at where now? I'm sorry.
Haleiwa Gym,
Okay, got it.
across the street from the Haleiwa Post Office.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay,
Madam
good.
Chair?
Yes, June?
Just for point of note, North Shore Neighborhood Board is one of the sponsors too, so.
Okay, yeah, I would assume so because it's out in North Shore. Yeah. Thank you, June. Okay, any other announcements? Yes, go ahead, Laura. Yes, go. You have to go to a mic.
Thank you. My name's Leanne Baker, and I just wanted to first thank Mrs. Fernandez because the same thing has happened to me for my mother. Took me over a year. But anyways, I wanted to say the 4-way stop sign over there, by McDonald's. We have to let people know. They just drive right past, and I'm just like, whoa, I have an SUV. I mean, how can you miss me? I stopped. So the 4-way stop, I don't think everyone knows. And then I also noticed by First Hawaiian Bank, they're talking about pedestrian, 68% pedestrian. Did anyone see that sign? It's probably less than that because if you actually go in the morning or in the evening time, there are people who are using the unmarked, and they use the one by the American Savings Bank, but it's so dark. Their clothes are dark. So they're not actually getting seen or they're just driving past them. So I don't know if you need a light or bring the sign down lower because I don't think the sedans could see that sign.
Okay, I just want to actually comment because I've actually received several compliments about the 4-way stop It's actually, and I have to be, I'm a witness to it too. People do stop now because it's so bold. It's like, the lines are so big, then the words are they're really big. They're not small like it was before. It's like,
During traffic.
yeah, morning traffic when I'm leaving at 6 o'clock and everybody's trying to cut through, everybody's stopping now. And the funny thing is like, nobody knows who to go, it's like everybody stopped and everybody's looking. So it's like, typical, but then it's like, at least everyone's stopping now,
They're rolling.
Yeah.
It's like rolling.
But before they used to just drive through. So
Wow.
I think it's an
That has happened
improvement.
to me twice this week.
Yeah, so I
have
think
gone
hopefully,
through.
yeah, see, but they used to do that and to now, it's amazing, but at least if it's maybe it's a slow learning curve, like you said, and got to get people more aware of it, but I think it's amazing that people are actually noticing it now.
They are, but you actually, if I'm the one coming up from Kamehameha Highway, I actually start braking because the cars are making that right-hand turn because they're trying to get faster than the red light.
Mm,
And I don't want to get hit, so I do
Yeah,
the brake.
I hear you on that. Yeah,
But my other one was your question regarding the Department of Transportation. They widen the road or they're widening the H2. But are they going to make, you said wider, the
They're n-
Wahiawa exit off ramp? Is it going to be longer and wider?
She said, hold on one second. She said that
Because it looks like it.
the existing dash lines were eradicated in order to shift the lanes to the left to provide enough room for the shoulder lane to be constructed with new concrete pavement. So the number of lanes will remain the same. And according to the plans, construction is to replace what's there, not adding anything or removing anything or widening the shoulders. So they're just replacing what's already there with new concrete. And then half of the run that goes into exit 8 will be dedicated for a Wahiawa exit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it is extended in.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'll be a good improvement too.
Chair?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to also share, Ms. Baker, if you go online and you look for the city and county's complete streets project, it has some information about, not about the four-way stop, but it does have some information about that sign that's at California and McCunny. And you'll see other areas that have, that they've posted similar signs, and it'll give you some background about that. I just got the email today. I didn't get a chance to look at it thoroughly, but I did see that it was talking about the sign there at California Avenue and McCunny Avenue. Complete streets.
Thank you, TG. That's good too. Good information. Okay, any other questions or announcements during community concerns? No, okay, very good. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on to our presentation section, which is item 8 on the agenda. Our first presentation is for the presentation and our rules of decorum is all participants at this meeting shall extend the spirit of aloha to one another. There shall be no displays of disrespect to one another. Public comments can be made within the stated time limits and without interruption unless the comments are offensive and or out of order and are not conducive to civil discourse. Our first presentation tonight is on the Wahiawa Courthouse and surrounding areas construction project, a review and update. Our presenter is Elaine Romualdo, Senior, the Senior Project Manager. And I'm not sure if Ryder is here, but I'm sorry. Okay, I got it reversed. Okay, thank you. So our presenter is Ryder Levitt Bucknell.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Okay, my name is Elaine Romualdo. I'm with Ryder Levitt Bucknell. We are the construction manager for the Wahiawa Civic Center, located next to the Wahiawa Transit Center and Wahiawa Public Library. I provided you, each and every one of you with a brochure. I'm sure it'll be shared later online.
PowerPoint for the.
I can share that PowerPoint with you, and I have a PowerPoint presentation that I can email you later if that's okay.
Okay.
I think I gave you a PDF of the brochure.
Yes, hold on one second.
think there's a, could you present the PDF? Or it has to be a PowerPoint? Yeah, I sent it to you, Chair. Sorry. I should have sent it earlier, but I got it done today.
Was it today you sent it?
Yes, today.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm good. Okay, you can share. We'll figure it out and see if we can get it up from the side.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so the brochure I have is just a summary of the project for Wahiawa Civic Center. So we are the construction manager for DAGS, and the general contractor is Ralph S. Inoue. And I'm gonna be going over, my agenda today is the overall plan of the project, the timeline, which is the schedule, start and end date of the project, and the concerns, everything. There were some questions from the community that was sent to us for response, and I'll open it up for questions after. Okay. The overall plan, so it's to construct a new judiciary and state and city buildings. So we have 2 buildings that will be going up in that space. All agencies who previously occupied Wahiawa Civic Center will be occupying the state building. The judiciary will be occupying the other building. So I believe the people that's located in the judicial building here will be relocated to the new building. Okay, and the new designated city and county of Honolulu space on the ground floor could include possibility with new tenants such as a satellite city hall and the DMV. Okay. So timeline-wise, the contractor received the notice to proceed on May 1st, which is the date they started installing the dust fence. And I think that pretty much started the whole issues with break-ins and the fencing, the crime that was occurring by the library. We've made adjustments since that time. Since my last report, they did put lights, motion sensor lights and all that. That was actually damaged and removed. They cut through the fence again. And so the contractor opted to put plywood on the 2 sides of the barricade, one on the transit side, which is a dark space, and then one, the entire length of the fencing next to the library and the portable classrooms. I have not heard any instances of any break-ins since, so I'm thinking it's helping. Okay, perfect. If we need to, we'll make adjustments again if the front California Avenue side and Center Street side needs to be redone as well. But those were our priority because those were the primary entry points into the project site. And because there was a lot of recyclables, a lot of people were trying to get those recyclables like copper wire, copper gutters, that sort of thing. That's why we saw pieces of sheet metal that was placed by the library at that one time. So yeah, hopefully it's a little bit more secure at this point. Okay. Concerns. So one of the questions was, will there be any open green space available? Yes. If you look at the plan, so they have an open green space, like a garden area between the judicial building and the state building and the parking lot area. So, and there is also a bioswale area, but that's not open to the public. That's for drainage. But it is on the side of between the library and the judicial building. Okay. How are the trees on Center Street affected by the project? So all the trees except one will remain. So they'll be maintaining the trees and watering it as they need with the construction. Third question, what were the final decisions for the parking situation, ingress and egress onto Center Street, removing stalls? So the ingress and egress of the parking lot, we have one entrance in the parking lot. We have another entrance for maintenance vehicles also. So that will take away about 4 stalls. So of the 10, we'll be taking away 4 stalls. So a total of 6 will be left behind because of those 2 entryways. And that'll be through Center Street. There won't be any access from California Avenue. Okay. Next question, will there be 24/7 security for the parking structure? So DAGS is considering hiring security during normal operating hours. Anything 24/7, I think that needs to be taken up with the state. We're only concerned about the construction on our part. Next question, is overnight security needed on the construction site as trespassing continues to occur? So as of right now, we're not going to consider that because there's no construction going on. We are still waiting for the building permit. So right now, the construction is at a stop because we don't have a grading permit to continue digging. So if you notice, the trees were taken down, but they were not able to dig up the roots from the trees because it requires a permit. Same with the demolition of the concrete slab on the building, that could not be removed as well. So as of right now, if you don't see any activity, it's because we're waiting for the building permit. Okay. Right. But yeah, as the project continues and they start storing materials on site, they may consider a security camera system, which was suggested by the designer. Okay. That's all I have for information. Is there any questions?
Any questions from the board? Yes, Joe.
Really quickly, do you have an estimate on when the permit might get approved?
The permit went in about 2 years ago. So as of right now, we're still waiting for traffic to sign off so we can get the grading permit. And maybe we could potentially apply for the SAI, which is forgot what it's called. But it's an SAI, it's a specialty inspection. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board? Dean?
You mentioned 2 driveways. Is the
Yes.
courthouse going to have a special driveway or an entrance for the Sally Port if they're transporting prisoners?
I do not see anything on the plans for prisoners to come in. I only see one entry point into the parking lot, to be honest, on the plans.
Can you
And then
go
the
back
main-
and ask?
I will ask.
Yes,
I will
because
definitely ask.
It'd be interesting how they're going to do that. Just welcome in the common area with regular people or what? Normally, they're incarcerated,
Of
so
course.
there's a back entry for them.
Okay. I will make sure to ask that question with the designer in the state. Yep.
Okay, and then Erin?
Hi, my question's pretty similar. But for the state and city buildings, just one entry point to those? Is it kind of a really enclosed area? So where before it was sort of open spaces and people could walk around, but this is going to be more tightly secured?
I think there's a iron fencing that goes around the judicial building. For the state building, there is not. And the parking lot is an open space.
Yes, go ahead, June.
Just really quick, does the construction involve any tearing up of the sidewalk? Just curious, and the reason why I bring it up is that that's been a problem in Wahiawa. Where people won't, they will just walk through it. And it's same is going on for the building at the end of King Street. So, and we had other problems where people had construction going on for a year and people just, they just tore up the sidewalk for a year and people couldn't pass for over a year. So just asking.
There's a couple of tie-in locations along California Avenue that they will have to tie in the water lines. So that will definitely block the sidewalk in that location. So we need to probably put signs up for them to cross across the street by the long side and then come back across when we're doing construction.
And may I ask that work be expedited so it wouldn't be blocked off for very long?
Once we get the permit. So that would be the first thing they would be going into is doing the demolition work and then do the grading and excavation work for the utilities to the building. That's the first thing they would probably go to. Do that tie-in, close up the sidewalk and open it to the public.
Okay, go ahead, Dean.
Looking at the map on the, you have on page 5, I believe, or 4,
Yes.
the garden area, Is that going to be for employees to go out and have their lunch or take a break? Is there going to be designated smoking area? These types of things, have they been considered?
Yeah, that I would have to check into. Yeah, I'll look into that. As far as any furniture or any type of seating and all that, I don't believe that's under our construction contract, but I'll double check for you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Erin.
All right, another question. I was wondering if any features are sort of using green building construction, like natural light or porous concrete or anything aligned with LED
Yes,
standards?
we are going for LEED silver on this project.
Lead silver, that's a level, the lead. The lead is-
So yeah, we're using materials that are hopefully within 50 miles of the project site, as well as recyclables. Any materials that's demolished, that's gonna get recycled, concrete, steel, copper that gets recycled. Just like how what we did with the trees, we repurposed that to Kukani local. So those things do add up as far as points. And same with the materials, low VOCs on materials, that sort of thing will be tracked closely to be able to meet that rating.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Go, TJ.
I just wanted to comment, and I actually wanted to congratulate Elaine because she is a Wahiawa product, and she is the project manager leading this. So we are so happy that we have a project in our community that's being led by a Wahiawan. Thank you.
Go Wahiawa.
You gotta sing the alma mater now.
Sorry, but that's not my. I never grad from my mules. I'm sorry, Lalo.
Yeah.
I did.
Oh, you gotta take that.
Born and raised
TJ, you
in
gotta-
Wahiawa.
TJ, yeah.
Born and raised in
Parents-
Wahiawa.
Parents sent me to a private school.
Just
I'm
kidding.
sharing that with the community, everyone.
See, that's the thing, that's why I gotta always ask, sing the alma mater. That's the clue. Just kidding. We
I'm a
still-
Wahiawa resident through and through.
There you go. That matters. That matters.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, questions from the community virtually? None? Okay. Questions from, yes, go ahead, Laura. Mike, you need a microphone, sorry. Yeah, you can use anyone.
My question is, are you going to use indigenous plants? Because for the hollow trees.
Laura. Just hold it closer.
Okay, are you going to do indigenous plants and trees? Because on here, I don't actually see it. And the reason why I ask is that quite a few Hawaiian people and others are interested in the hollow.
I
So-
can share that. I can share that.
And they can help you
Yes.
clean it.
Yep.
you know,
I can
free.
share that information with you folks at the next meeting, if that's okay. Or if you want me to update the slides, I can update the slides to include what types of plants will be incorporated with the project. But yeah, they
the
did
yellow
think it
hibiscus.
through. Yeah, they did think it through, so.
The original indigenous yellow.
Original.
hibiscus, The state.
So let me
That
double
one,
check.
And then there's that blood red hibiscus. No, we don't have those. Thank you.
But yeah, I'll definitely check and then I'll update the slides
Yeah.
and I'll give
You
you
can send
folks
it
the PowerPoint
Yeah, and I can-
presentation to include the plans that will be incorporated with the
That'd
project.
be perfect. And then I can distribute to
Yes.
the board. Yes.
Yes, and then I'll try to answer some of those questions to you folks.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I actually have a few questions if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
So I was glad to see that the trees on Center Street will remain, except for one, I think it was.
Yes.
So the entryway, where is that entryway going to be for the general public? Because everyone is going to enter from, the ingress is all going to be on Center Street, right?
Yes, it's going to be
So-
closest to the transit center.
Okay, so I'm just curious, like where that is, because our next presentation is on the Wahiawa General Hospital. So I just kind of want to see how everybody's going to work in tandem in that area,
Oh,
which,
okay.
which used to be a very quiet street and people used to love walking that street. You'd see a lot of the elderly walk on that street. You'd see the patients from the hospital walk, be escorted out. So it's going to be a very busy street. And that's my question is, how are we going to approach that so that we can keep some harmony there. So number one, I'm curious where that ingress is going to be, or the ingress and egress is going to be. I'm curious what arrangements have been made with the medical center and Wahiawa General Hospital, as well as the library. Because if everyone's going to be parking on Center Street, a lot of the employees in that area used to park on Center Street as well.
Yep.
So what is going to happen? How do we avoid a clash?
I know those parking stalls will not change, except we lose the 4 stalls. I believe we lose the 4 stalls. So there's, I want to say 2 stalls next to the transit center, and then 2 closer to the portable classrooms. So on either side of that that property.
Okay.
So I don't know how it affects the hospital. If I could get a copy of their plans and how it affects them, that would help me a lot.
Okay. Well, actually, we do have a presentation.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the CEO of Wahiawa General Hospital will be giving an update, and we'll talk story with him too.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was curious is, and it's just timing, right? Everything is
Yes.
just cannot help. But so recently, in the Kokua line, there were, I think, 2 columns in a row talking about the Firo chickens that have
Yes.
run from the former Civic Center area over to the bus depot area, and all the mess that's going on there now and what's going to happen. So who's responsible for that?
So we are having the contractor do that work. I'm working with them. I got a proposal from the contractor. Now I have to run it through contracts to give them a change order to proceed with the work. So the soonest we could probably get them to do it is probably early next week. Unfortunately, it's a contract thing, so we have to go through that.
But the contract is, I don't mean to be cruel, but the contract is for cleaning, or the contract for
It's
chicken?
to remove
The chickens.
the chickens,
Okay,
yes.
I just want a clarification on
Yes.
that. Because, that's the question, right? That's the question.
No, it came up, it was brought to our attention last week, Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I had to get the price, I got the price today, and I have to go through the process with the state to award them a change order to perform the work.
Okay. And then during, I guess, because this board it's come up before this board as well, previously about the lack of cleaning or the sanitary conditions. So it's come up every year, it comes up at some place. But so is there going to be something that will be in place so that those complaints can be addressed quickly versus writing letters? Can you please do this? Can you clean the area up?
There is that wahiawaciviccenter.com website that you folks can write your comments on. And we do check it frequently. So if there is any issues, you can go to that website. I can also leave an email address if that helps, or I can leave the information for the contractor, or I can have the contractor post up the emergency contact info on their job site as well.
I'm sorry, I should have been clearer. I should have been clear. What I meant is, will there be something in place once the Civic Center project is done? Will they have that in place for the bus station, the bus depot, that it'll have monthly cleaning or weekly or whatever?
That I would not have an answer for you, Chair. That would be taken up with the state.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Thank you. Okay, Joe has a question.
Yeah, Elaine, would you be the one that would want to be in contact with the hospital?
Yes, please.
Okay, I can either,
Yeah,
Brian,
I
I'll
can get you.
I can work with you on that.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Are you going to hang around for
Yes.
for a few minutes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So thank you very much. Number one, I did ask Elaine to come and give us an update and just to recap everything, because, things have changed and people are wondering what's happening because they don't see anything happening. So thank you for coming and kind of refreshing the presentation to us and just being open to taking our questions. So if you don't mind hanging around, because Brian will be coming up in a couple minutes, and then and then we can have a all family style duke it out. No, just kidding. Just
All
kidding.
right, thank
All right,
you.
thank you very much. And having said that, our next presentation. Hi, Brian, are you ready?
I am ready, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone, our next presentation tonight is from the Wahiawa General Hospital, an update. Our presenter tonight is Brian Cunningham, the CEO of Wahiawa General Hospital. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Madam Chair. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak and do some updates for you and the neighborhood board. We really appreciate all your work and all your advocacy. I think I'd like to start out with just letting everyone know in the post-pandemic environment, right? Now that COVID is in the endemic stage, the challenges still remain in a lot of industries, as you well know, and even small businesses around town. And of course, that includes healthcare. We continue to have a number of challenges we're still working through, but much thanks to our committed board members, our local legislators, Senator Dela Cruz, Representative Peruso, our community, our staff, our physicians. You know, this is truly a team effort. With everybody's work and support, we continue to move Wahiawa General forward. This board is well aware of many of the challenges that Wahiawa General Hospital has experienced over the years. And it's through some really dedicated people and creative thinking that we continue to be able to serve the needs, the healthcare needs of our community. I'm really just appreciative of some of the really positive comments we continue to get from our community and also others not from our community, people vacationing maybe up on the North Shore, and they come to Wahiawa in an emergency or some other situation and really can't believe the quality of care, the great care that they receive. And they're not shy about sharing that with us. So we're very appreciative of that. Our commitment to our mission to serving you all remains at a very high level, despite the challenges in this post-pandemic environment. I'd like you to know that we continue to, have some financial challenges. We're working through the best we can. And at the same time, we continue to move and address some of our building infrastructure projects to make sure that we have a safe environment for everyone. And we continue to work on a number of clinical quality of care projects. We always have 2 or 3 or 4 quality projects. We're always looking to improve the quality of services that we're providing for you. Obviously, one of the things you might want to hear about is the WNRC building. Unfortunately, once again, we had to close the building. It's been about a year now. July of 2022, we closed WNRC, and there was a number of reasons, as you recall, some of them related to the challenges with the upkeep of the building, others with regards to having enough staff in that COVID environment, pandemic environment, and a number of other issues. So we've been closed for about a year now. I want you to know that our board continues to look at some possibilities. We're not clear yet about next steps on that building due to the number of infrastructure issues that still are occurring in that building. And especially, as you all know, when you're not using a building, there starts to be a level of degradation in certain systems. So we continue to maintain it and keep it up, but there is some degradation occurring, and the board is still working on, what the next steps may in fact be. With that, I'd like to open up for questions you may have so I can answer some of the board's concerns directly.
Thank you, Brian, for that update. Any questions from the board? Go ahead, TJ.
Aloha, Mr. Cunningham. Nice to see you again.
Aloha.
And I'm so glad to see that you folks have come out of the pandemic,
Yes.
still going forward. Have you folks entertained the thought of using actually sharing the long-term care side with the city or possibly with the state as they look to seek transitional housing areas in our different communities?
Great question. Thank you for that. Yeah, we've had a number of groups, local and at the city and state, approach us about possibilities. And we've been, of course, honest with them. There's a number of issues we're attempting to consider. And once we are able to make that decision, we'll be getting back to other organizations. So the short answer is yes, we have, but there are a number of challenges to the building that we're trying to work through. Thank you for that, TJ.
Yes, go ahead, Dean.
Good evening, sir. Quick question. Is Wahiawa General still receiving the majority of COVID patients that the city and county dispatches out?
That's no longer the case. That's a great question. On a couple of different occasions when COVID hospitalizations were high, we opened up a COVID subacute unit. But since in about the last probably 9 months, the COVID hospitalization rates have been actually quite low in the 30s, 40s, 50s at any given time across the whole state system. So we've not had the need to reopen those subacute units. All hospitals will still get occasional COVID patient in there, but the numbers are significantly less than the pandemic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Yes, go ahead, Erin.
Hi, I have a question. So I know that the emergency room is open. What are other services that are currently happening at the hospital? What is available?
Thank you very much for that question. So we have our inpatient services. People need to stay in hospital. We have, probably active close to 40 hospital beds, acute care beds. And we have our full complement of outpatient services, inpatient and outpatient. So for our community members, there's no need to drive down into town for an X-ray or a CAT scan or nuclear medicine diagnostic services. We have availability 7 days a week for most imaging services. We have radiology, a radiologist in-house twice a week for additional procedures. We have full complement of rehabilitation services, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy for outpatient services, our full service lab. If you have any blood draws you need to do, we have our cardiopulmonary outpatient services for different pulmonary studies, EKGs, that kind of thing. So we have full complement of outpatient services. And we also have space in our building that we've had for many years that we have specialty clinic services. That's where we invite physicians from across the island mostly to provide specialist services in the community of Wahiawa. Once again, if you need to see a gastroenterologist or a cardiologist, right, you shouldn't have to drive down into town for a basic office visit. So we have a full complement of specialty clinic services also. They're the major services that we have, and I appreciate that question.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, questions from those participating virtually? Questions from the Wahiawa community? Yes, Laura. Yeah, if any mic, you can.
Baker and to the mic. Cunningham. Can you tell me, do you still have a special floor for the mental illness? Wasn't that on the agenda a couple of years ago?
It's been probably about 6 years. Thank you for that question. We used to have a senior behavioral health unit. That's probably what you're recalling. That closed probably close to 6 years ago. And there's no current plan to reopen that unit. There's significant challenges to having a behavioral health unit. So we don't have any plans at this time. Now, of course, we address mental health needs in our emergency department as people come in off the street, but we do not have that senior behavioral health unit as we did in years past.
Okay. Someone had mentioned that it was a lease. It was leased to like one of the other hospital.
Yeah, we had, no, not at this time. We had been talking to Department of Health for a while about possibly having some stabilization type beds, but that RFP never went all the way through. So not at this time. And it's been about 6 years since we've had an active unit.
The reason why I asked is because of our homeless community. It's gotten a little bit bigger. And I know anyone involved in any type of case is always for the individual themselves. They're not all the same.
Yes.
But there are still a few that are kind of really out on the streets.
Yes.
And was it PBS? I think I saw about Wahiawa, the 24 housing that may be available. And then someone had mentioned the hospital. But so that's why I was wondering if you would offer such a facility, because that IHS lady, is her name Connie? She had mentioned that there are actually laws in place where they could actually have the people actually directed to that type of mental health services. So I was just wondering if you still had that available there.
Yeah, not specifically for mental health, behavioral health issues. Now, we do manage patients, of varying degrees with challenges in that area. We do have a quote waitlisted unit, which is for patients that are experiencing challenges, can't be discharged to a long-term care center or don't have a safe discharge, but not a specific unit as you're describing for mental health issues.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the question, though.
you.
And Madam Chair, if you'd like, before we sign off, I can speak to the parking question that came up.
Yes,
in
let me,
reference to the early
let
report.
me go one more round of questions
Okay.
and then we'll get to that. Thank you. Any
Okay.
other questions? Okay, I actually, I have a couple questions if you don't
Sure.
mind, Brian.
Sure.
So, we know, in general, our community, treasures the Wahiawa General Hospital on so many levels. It's
Yes.
important to this community. And I will be one to attest that the ER room is fantastic.
Yes.
Your
Thank
staffing
you.
there and the service is spot on. I mean, just, there's no doubt. So I'm just curious, when you were mentioning all these other options that you have, whether it's PT, OT, rehab, imaging, radiology, do you get that message out? Are people aware of all the other amenities or programs that you offer? Is that message out there? Because I think people in general agree that the ER room is great. I mean, they have no question, but I'm not sure if the community is aware that you are offering other services.
Madam Chair, I think to answer your question, I would say we don't get the information out enough, right? You can never communicate enough what services you have available. We tend to communicate through our physician providers. They're the ones that will then direct patients. But one of the challenges during COVID was we had to really pay attention to the amount of staff we were able to carry. We had to do a lot of unfortunate right sizing. And one of the positions we had to do a reduction in force around was our marketing person, our communications person. So since then, we have not done as a good a job as we could have with keeping the community informed. And we need to do a better job of that.
Okay, yeah, because I think I was actually surprised at some of the listing. I wasn't aware that you opened up rehab again, because I think
Yes.
there are a lot of people that look for that. My other question is, moving forward, how, and I've always asked you this, so we as a board have always asked you this, because you will receive our support. But moving forward, is there anything funding wise for the upcoming legislative year? I know it's only July, but it takes time to figure that out. But please
Yeah.
let us know if there's anything that you need us to support in terms of funding for the next session.
Thank you. We will. Yeah, we're starting to have those discussions at this time. We definitely will. But speaking, a little bit broadly to your question, obviously the sustainability of Wahiawa General is a question that will get on people's mind. And we just want to let you know it's through all of our partners, our legislators, our healthcare partners, one of which is Queens Health System. We're working on a number of projects to create a more sustainable future for Wahiawa General. And we're very confident in those efforts, and hopefully we'll be able to create a more sustainable future so we get another 75 years of great service for our community. But it takes such a large team these days. It's no longer just Wahiawa centric, can take care of all its healthcare needs. We need these external partners and island-wide partners.
Correct. And in addition to, like you mentioned, Queens, is there any discussion, or is the discussion put to the side regarding Coral Ridge and any of that? Or is that still an active conversation, or no?
Yes, and to just clarify, there's the hospital, WGH, and there's the Wahiawa Hospital Association. The association is essentially the parent company of Wahiawa General Hospital, although they are separate organizations, separate 501c3s. And the Coral Ridge project is in the purview of the Wahiawa Hospital Association. So not directly with the hospital is not directly involved in the Coral Ridge project, but I can share with you that that project is very active, very alive. the Wahiawa Hospital Association has been working very hard on that project, and things are moving forward. There's still significant amount of planning going on. They do not have, some of the key elements they need yet to bring the plan to fruition. But I can tell you that they continue to meet over these last 4 or 5 years, and that project is moving forward.
Are you able to share a little bit more of that in terms of if it's moving forward, is it moving forward to keep the hospital in Wahiawa, or are there plans of quote unquote relocating the hospital, if you will? Or a
Yes,
facility?
I can definitely tell you, they're still working on the final list of services that will be offered there, but the hospital is going to stay in Wahiawa. There is no plan to build another hospital at Coal Ridge site. The services are more like ambulatory in nature. So no, hospital stays in Wahiawa.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for Brian? Okay, thank you very much, Brian. I didn't mean to grill you that much, but
Oh, no,
thanks
I
for the update.
appreciate all the questions. And just one last comment about the parking situation on
Oh, yes,
Center
that's right,
Street.
thank you.
I would just add, because of the unfortunate closure of WNRC, the hospital's parking needs are met with our front and back lot. When we had all those additional employees for WNRC, we needed that. We also use that parking. So the parking won't be an issue for the hospital at this point.
Okay, great. Did you hear that? Okay, and we're going to also put you in contact with Ryder. So
Thank you.
I'll send you information to both of you. Thank you
I
very
look
much.
forward to that.
Okay, you take care. Can we give
Thank
a
you.
round of applause to Brian? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone, for that section. We're now moving on to our elected officials. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we finished that. Oh, that's all. It all happened in that. We did have resident Mrs. Fernandez came up with her concern. We had yeah, so we did go through that, and then we had the announcements from the 3 people that announced about the Red Hill. There are 3 people, right? And the 2 ladies and the guy. Oh, the guy was something else. Yeah, there's 3, and then I think there are 4 that came up during that time. Okay, so after we are on section 9 at this point, elected. We're proud of that. Yeah, offline, yeah.
A
So
point
we
of
are-
information, Madam Chair. Did
Well-
the constituent wish to make an announcement?
So we can come back after. I just checked that after we finish with our agenda, if we need to go back. So item 9, we're on elected officials, limited to 3 minutes each. Our first report is from the mayor's office. If Denise, is Seri Matsubara here? Yes, there is.
Good evening. So a new era has begun for transit riders across the island of Oahu since passenger service on Skyline, the city's new rail transit system, officially began on June 30th with service from East Kapolei to Halava. The fares for Skyline will follow the same fare structure as the bus, and each ride also comes with a free transfer. More information can be obtained at honolulu.gov/Skyline. I did want to get back to you on a few questions you had from our last meeting. One was regarding the Holo card, where to buy the tickets. The regular fare Holo cards can be purchased at ticket vending machines at Skyline stations. Reduced fare Holo cards, including disability, Medicare, senior, and youth cards, can be purchased at the bus pass office on Middle Street. Senior and youth cards can also be available at all satellite city halls except the Ala Moana one. And they say to please bring a valid ID to get your senior, youth, or Medicare Holo card. Also was a question on bathrooms, why there were no bathrooms at the various stations. DTS did report that restrooms are available at all stations for urgent situations and can be accessed by their customers with the help of a station operator. What they found is that nationwide, unlocked and open public restrooms without access controls encourage illicit activities and incur damages from vandalism and misuse. So most of North America's light rail and metro networks in cities like Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, San Diego, Phoenix, and Minneapolis generally do not have restrooms available at stations. Other destinations include restaurants, offices, and school campuses, but they have increased security and access by request to restrooms for safety and comfort of all users of all ages and abilities. So that's the response back from DTS. I also asked them about the lack of Hawaiian names for the service, and DTS reported that the Honolulu Rail Project has never had an official name other than the Honolulu High Capacity Transit Corridor Project. The city has branded the Honolulu Rail Transit Project with the name Skyline, and will be updating the images associated with Skyline with a native Hawaiian bird, the Manu o Ku. They explained that through community outreach, they discovered an overwhelming opinion that our island's residents were tired of negativity associated with rail and heart. DTS also tested the rail and the train, to which respondents did not find favorable. So in respecting the community's voice, they chose Skyline, the name that was directly reflective of the elevated line that traverses the planned corridor between Kapolei and Honolulu. So that's just getting back to you on your inquiries. I also did want to report that the city's rental and utility relief program was temporarily reopened this summer, thanks to 25 million in state and local fiscal recovery funds from the Honolulu City Council. Since launching in April 2021, the program has helped more than 16,000 Oahu families struggling with their housing expenses and distributing, I would say, roughly over 260 million at this point in federal funds through our nonprofit partners, Catholic Charities, and the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. And since this is hurricane season, in the mayor's newsletter, he did note that to get emergency notifications and city service updates, go to hnl.info. It's a one-stop site for city services, from emergency alerts to registering for city activities. So they encourage folks to visit that website. I did want to just share one comment, since the need for mental health centers was brought up. The city is now exploring with the Department of Health, the Adult Mental Health Division, the possibility of opening up a behavioral health crisis and stabilization center at its Evil Resource Center. So it's very preliminary. We're in the talking stages now. Building modifications are required. Funding, of course, they are exploring funding. The governor and the mayor have met on this, and they have both agreed to try and see how we can make this work. So that discussion is now taking place, and we are actively working with the Department of Health at looking at mental health or behavioral health crisis and stabilization center now.
Thank you, Director, for all that information. What a good update. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Any questions from the board? Yes, go ahead, TJ, and then Joe.
Aloha, Director. I wanted to know, you gave a website that residents can use for emergency information. Is there a phone number that can be accessed as well for those who do not have access to the internet?
So let's see what they have under their contact information. So the Department of Emergency Management, their main office can be accessed at 723-8960 from Monday through Friday, 7:45 to 4:30 p.m.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
And then Joe, you had a question?
Yeah, given that Wahiawa is about 10 miles away from the rail, is there any update on a parking structure that we could use for commuting in a reasonable area?
I'm sorry, so member, what's your name? Francher? Is that your last name?
That's me.
Your question is regarding a parking structure near what station are you asking about?
I don't know what the name of the station is, but it's at the end of H2.
That's the Pro City one, right? You're talking about Pro City, yeah, or that's Pro City, yeah.
Okay, I can inquire with DTS. I'm not sure, but I'd have to inquire with the Department of Transportation for you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? Dean?
Good evening, ma'am. And I'm going to apologize already for venting, but your answer in response to my question of why no Hawaiian name is totally unacceptable. And for the DTS to be comparing me to a citizen who lives in Vancouver, in California, or in somewhere else is not acceptable. We live here in Hawaii. We are a different people. They're disrespecting the Hawaiian culture by not doing and proceeding with Hawaiian names. There was no name for the Hawaiian train system in Hawaii because each train carried a Hawaiian name, as I so indicated. And I don't understand why they're ignoring this, but that's okay. What goes around comes around, because as far as I'm concerned, it's not what you folks call it. It's a train. And as far as it goes right now for myself, I'll never ride it because it hasn't properly been blessed. There has been no blessing for the equipment. Honolulu, Hawaii, not only Honolulu, but all Hawaii companies always have an opening blessing for each individual equipment. You guys have blessings for ambulances. You guys have blessings for fire engines. What happened to the train? That's what I'm asking. And for each time, I mean, I saw Nouchi over there with his Oli, my kai. But what about the Hawaiian essence, the spirit of aloha? You know, and I'm happy now that you tell me, okay, but they're going to be filtering in some way manu ku, yeah? Manu oku, yeah? The official city bird, yeah? Which I am very familiar with that bird because there was they're like human beings, this bird. They pick a mate for life. And when my office was in City Hall, there was a couple right outside the tree that sits in the back part of the Honolulu Hale that was Manu Oku. And it's very becoming, it's very comforting to see them affectionate to each other. And that's what we need to be with the train. We need to be malama with that train if you expect us. One other thing, a quick note. I don't understand why you folks are charging. I know you guys are hurting for money on this thing, but until it's finished, you folks should be offering free rides from point A, nowhere, to point B, nowhere. Because you tell me, what makes sense for me to get on the bus, to go to Pro City, to get off the bus, to get on the train, to go to Aloha Stadium, to get off the train, to get back on the bus, to go to Honolulu? Aole, yeah? Aole mapopo. I don't understand. So it's something beholding that the city should be kind of like pushing this for free a little bit longer, Get the people acclimated to that so that when it does complete the course, hey, I'll jump on it, because parking at work is getting expensive. You know, and you folks are gonna come right behind my office building, which is perfect for me, okay? But please push that back to the director for that Hawaiian blessing and Hawaiian name, at least for the trains. Okay, thank you.
And thank you for your comments, Member Harvest. I will share that with DTS.
Thank you, Dean. And Michelle, you had a question.
Yes, thank you for being with us tonight. I don't know if you heard earlier, but the Civic Center has waited 2 years for the permit to go through, for one of their permits. Why is that happening? And isn't that costing us all more money? Because it is. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Member Umake, is it? I don't know. I know that DPP has a backlog of permits. There are many permits that are awaiting. A lot of them are affordable housing permits, and I get calls regularly about them. The department, from what I know, is experiencing quite a bit of vacancies, and the director is dealing with a number of issues, including the lack of proper training, now inadequate staffing. They have software, my understanding is that is over 2 decades old and needs to be replaced. So she is dealing with a myriad of problems that she had inherited, and these problems have occurred, I would say, for over a decade. So she's trying to address them, and it's not going to be an overnight solution, but she's attacking them one by one. And so I don't know where the permits stand for this, and what I have learned from looking into some of the larger projects is that some of the consultants for these developers have not been responsive to the comments and questions that the DPP inspector or the reviewer has. So there's 2 sides of it, and I don't know what exactly is the problem with this particular permit, but I can put in a request to DPP.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions? Yes, go ahead, June.
Just to follow up on what Mr. Francher said, the Coal Ridge project, part of the approval and part of their mitigation was to have the Pearl Highlands Park and Ride. And so not having the Pearl Highlands Park and Ride is going to affect a lot of people. And all the mitigation processes that the Coal Ridge set up, and I used to question them all the time. I was not a fan of what they did, but part of their mitigation was to have the bus to go to Pearl Highlands so they can hop the rail. And now if that's not an option anymore, that means more traffic. That means on the H2 and then more traffic right all by where it's congested right now, you know, where next to Costco and everything. So, you know, a decision to eliminate that park and ride, it affects a lot of people in Central, not just Wahiawa, not just Mililani, but Coal Ridge, which is quickly coming up right now. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Yamamoto. I don't know the reason, but I can inquire with DPP. I'm sorry, with DTS.
Okay, let me, Dean, give me 1 minute and then you can go.
No, just
so-
a quick clarification. Our old rail system actually did have names. So it's telling you that, I'm telling you that it was called Spreckles, it was called Dillingham, it was called Wailua Sugar, it was called Oahu Railway. These all were independent rail trains. okay? But the general train that carried passengers had the name Lanakila. Okay, so I mean, along that line, that's what I would like to see come back, especially to honor our past monarchs. It would be a great thing, a nice thing to do. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Member Harvest. I will definitely convey that to DTS.
And Director, I'm just gonna dovetail off of what June and Joe was talking about. You know, the Pro Highlands issue, as we keep going on to this, is to me what's even more, I don't know what I don't want to say annoying, but it's just, they can't, we don't even have a sidewalk. Have you ever seen that? The rail is up, there's no sidewalk to, I mean, so it's like, seriously, you can come down the steps and you're standing in the middle of Kamehameha Highway and you can't get across because there's no crosswalk. It's like chicken or the egg kind of thing. But so when you're talking about Pro Highlands, it's you, I mean, you can't even, I don't know where you go. I mean, you come, I don't know where you go after you come down. There's nowhere. You
You come down the stairs, go 50 feet ever,
you're
then you cross one portion of the road, then you come back up 20 feet, then you cross the other portion of the road,
But
then you
have
go
to
back up.
go, and you have to check, no, that's right. It's like, yeah, so it's so just adding humor to the mix of the whole thing, but it is we were supposed to be as part of the meetings that we went to, with transit, you know, TOD, and Joe knows, we both used to go to those meetings. You know, so that was all in the mix of everything, but like, there's a lot going on, so we apologize, but you will receive a lot of questions on that, because most recently, some of the other neighborhood boards have, are trying to work together to garner support for the parking structure, so it is a issue that may come up in the coming months. Okay,
Sure.
any other questions for, I'm sorry, yes, Director? Oh.
Would you like me to request a representative from DTS to present
Yes.
or be present
Yes.
at one of these meetings?
Yeah, that would be terrific.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in recess for the month of August, so maybe in September.
Okay, a rep from DTS. And just to let you know that the city has finally hired a new director for DFM, and I'm currently just temporarily filling in for that. That was Dawn, I think, Shizek, that used to present.
Yes.
So they have now hired a new director. So my thinking is that that new director, Jean Albano, will be representing the mayor at your meetings at some point. I'll be handing the baton over to him.
You get to escape.
I don't know where I'm going to be reassigned to, but that may be coming. But I will take this down for our neighborhood board commission to follow
Right,
up on the DPS.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, any last call for any questions for Mayor's office? I didn't even go to the audience yet. Any other questions from virtual? We didn't even get to the virtual guys. Anyone virtually with questions for the mayor's office? And community members in Wahiawa, any questions for the mayor's office? Nope. Okay, thank you, Director.
Mahalo.
Okay, our next is, we have our council member's office with Kelly here for Councilmember Matt.
Good evening, Chair Ishikawa, members of the board, Kelly Anaya from Councilmember Matt Wire's office. Congratulations to the returning and to the new board members. Not too much to update tonight. I think I gave everybody a newsletter. So something fun, Councilmember and myself, as well as his senior aide, were able to attend the phone dance this past Saturday. Super stoked to be a part of it and had a lot of fun. Also ate a lot, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Couple of legislative updates, Bill 37 and Bill 40 from 2022 relating to real property tax passed full council last week, Wednesday. So Bill 37 raises the low income tax credit threshold for the title holders from 60,000 to now 80,000. And Bill 40 raises the homeowner occupant exemption rate from 100,000 to 120,000. That's for people 65 and under, and then from 140,000 to 160,000 for those, 65 and older. Like I mentioned, or I think Councilmember mentioned last month, his bill 34 and 35, both from 2023. Those passed first reading at last week's council meeting as well. And just to recap, Bill 34 would raise the homeowner occupant exemption to 250,000 and to 300,000 for those 65 and older. Bill 35 would change the way that the assessment is done. So instead of going over a single year average, it would go over the course of several years. Not too much other updates. I believe someone mentioned the Olive and Walker Ave four-way stop that was finally implemented. I know that was, I think TJ was also helping with that. That was like a couple years ago. No other updates regarding the bollards on California Ave. Still waiting on that. And then with Mr. Francher, our office is looking forward to working with the CPT team, doing some community projects, mostly beautification stuff in and around Oahu and Whitmore. That's it for me. If you have any questions for council member, take them back for him.
Yes, go ahead, Joe.
Really quickly, you just mentioned the bollards on California Avenue.
Yes.
Is that the crosswalk?
Yes.
There's one left.
There's one. Yeah. I know, I feel like I want to just go knock that last one down. Yes. Yeah. I did submit a request to have it replaced, so they're aware of it. They're working on it. So thank you for your patience.
Is that the one by, is that
By the
one
bank.
Yeah. okay.
American Savings, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle. Yeah.
Actually, two questions.
Yes.
So what is the councilman's opinion of the crosswalks being removed? He can answer that formally. Actually, he told me earlier.
Okay, yeah, I don't know his opinion, so I would need to take that back.
He may have changed his mind, so I just want to know what.
Are there specific crosswalks that you're referring to?
The ones that were eliminated, the ones. Yeah, and the only reason why I mentioned it is that if it was done to speed up traffic in Wahiawa, those were not impeding the traffic. Because everybody had to race to Cam Highway and stop and wait at that stoplight, or race and speed to the one by the First Hawaiian Bank and stop and wait over there. So, and there are a few people that use it, and there are people that still use it, even though they don't exist, because I see them all the time. And then the other, maybe we need to study the use or even the need for the bike lane in downtown Wahiawa. And the reason why I mention it is that nobody's using it properly. I've not seen maybe but one or two people over the, 10 years it's been open to use it correctly. Either they're riding on the crosswalk, on the sidewalk, or they're going the wrong way. So maybe we should study, maybe it's not worth the effort to keep it painted, and maybe we can maintain the painting of some side crosswalks that really need the painting. And I say this as a former avid bicycle rider, and that's why I notice, and that's why I look how people are using it. And yes, I was one of the few people that actually used it, but it's not being used, so I don't know if it's worth it. And it's only for less than not even a quarter mile.
Yeah, it's not that.
So
Okay.
is it worth it? Maybe that's a subject that, that should be brought up. Maybe, I don't know if it requires a study to eliminate it, but
I'm sure it would, but I can look into that.
yeah. And then, like I said, the paint could be used more wisely at other crosswalks.
Not a problem.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not an anti-bicyclist. Like I said, I was a bicyclist myself, but it's just not being used correctly.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all.
And thank you, June. But to add to that just a little bit, I believe the whole thought process for removing the sidewalks were part of the walk around that we did. And it was partially the TOD program, but partially we had a specialist, I forgot his name now, that came down and he talked about the need of or lack or not needing sidewalks at certain places. And we walked all around Wahiawa down, all the way down. We looked at the bike lane. We looked at the number of crosswalks at every intersection. And that went up and they did a study on it and he came back and we did another review on the study. And I think by the third time it went and got finalized. And so.
But you
it-
got to remember that it was the experts that said that Whitmore didn't need a second access road.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just letting you know
You know,
that's what
they
happened.
said that,
Yeah.
they said that good traffic studies would not allow it.
But I'm just letting you, that's where it came
So
from.
this is
yeah.
why I'm just questioning.
Yeah, I agree. There, because because they didn't remove it well, because you still have the faded white
Well,
lines. so,
I'll
yeah.
tell you the truth. There's a lot of people that they know it's not there now. They just ignore.
Yeah, but it's dangerous. They shouldn't.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
But anyway, okay, just want to add that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think there's a memory come back now.
A little. I was thinking, was I there?
You were in a couple, I think, because we actually met.
Yeah, but
a
that was
couple
like
times.
4 years
We met-
ago.
Yeah, we met at the hospital. We met in their meeting room one time at the hospital.
Okay, no,
meeting
I
room.
wasn't
Oh, you
in
weren't
that
there. Okay, but
one.
yeah, anyway. But anyway,
But
so
thank you.
there-
I'll look into that and see what we can come up with.
Okay, and Michelle, you had a question?
Hi.
Hi.
When did these exemptions go into effect?
Oh, so July 1st, 2024.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay, any other questions from the board? But any questions virtually from any participants virtually? Okay, hearing none. Locally here, any questions, Laura?
1st, 2024. By September, yes, that is correct.
So just repeat, the question was, because you didn't have a mic, is that you wanted clarification that the exemptions go into effect July 2024, right?
2024.
Right, but then you have to file it this year. Is that what you said?
September.
By
30th.
September 30th. Okay, thank you. Very good. to know. Okay, any other questions for council member's office? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Okay, moving on, from Governor's office, Khalil is on the trip, a working trip on the mainland. So he did provide his the governor's report. So everyone should have a copy of it. And basically, on the front page is a homeowner assistant fund program expands. So this one is about the homeowners HAF program announced expanding eligibility to provide more assistance to Hawaii homeowners. And some of the highlights is the maximum assistance amount per household has been increased to $60,000, which used to be $30,000. Forward and non-outstanding payment mortgage assistance is available for up to 12 months, which is up from what used to be 6 months. And homeowners do not have to be delinquent to qualify for assistance. And reverse mortgage homeowners are now eligible. The program is available in Kauai and Hawaii counties and on Oahu. And to find out more, you can go to their website. And then there's other information, new gun safety laws to protect Hawaii's people, Senate Bill 1230 and House Bill 1239, improving Hawaii's youth health, taking steps to protect our environment. Hawaii receives Best New Plate Award 2022, and supporting wellness and resilience of Hawaii's families, and more affordable housing for seniors in Mo'iliili. Okay. So that's just a brief rundown of the governor's report. Moving on to our next one is Senator De La Cruz's office. Is David on? Hi, David.
Hi, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, board and members of the community. David Cho for Senator De La Cruz's office. I just wanted to give a quick update on Senate Bill 833. This was the bill to acquire and improve the Wahiawa irrigation system. The governor actually signed the bill into law on July 5th. So the departments are going to start moving on that once the monies are allocated to them. Funds were available as of July 1st, so we're going to be working with departments very expediently to make sure that this acquisition happens, because it's a matter of acquiring the system as well as Lake Wilson. So it's going to be a massive acquisition on the state's part. And the improvement portion will be $21 million to expand the current spillway. And then the additional $5 million is to purchase the lands that are not owned by Dole but are needed to operate the actual system. So it's a $26 million project in total, and we'll be working on that through the next year. Other than that, the Committee on Ways and Means is actually going to be going on neighbor island site visits. So they do this every odd year where they look at programs, budget items that were passed or bill items that were passed over the last 2 years, and they try to see how improvements are being made in the community. So what we're currently doing is doing Oahu site visits for a couple locations, and then this month will be Maui, which is upcoming next week, and then over the next 2 to 3 months, we'll be doing the remaining counties. So we have that coming up, and we'll have a lot of more information on that as we go through the site visits itself. So if not, I'll open to taking any questions.
Thank you, David, and thank you for the update on Senate Bill 833, because, we did support that in terms of how important it was to acquire Lake Wilson and the whole irrigation system, with all the agriculture that we have to do and stuff. So thank you for that update. Okay, any questions for Senator's office? Yes, go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, hi, David. Could you tell me, what is the senator's opinion? Is he seeing the first responders campus as dead?
Right. Well, the funding for that was in the budget, but the governor had line item vetoed the funding for all funding that was in the budget. So it was 3 line item appropriations, but the governor line item vetoed all 3. So the project will not be moving forward. The EIS and all additional design work have stopped at this point. So the project is not moving forward right now.
Go ahead, Joe.
But he will reintroduce it, correct?
Oh, no, he actually put out a press release, I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. He will not be pursuing that any longer. But
Any other questions from the board?
let me clarify. But the state is still owned. The land is still owned by the state. And I know there was a lot of conversation to keep the land in agricultural use. So we're trying to see if we can do like ag warehouses or some type of infrastructure for farming where farmers could use the land. So we're seeing what options are available. But in terms of the first responders project, that will not be pursued.
June had a question.
David, is the senator still pursuing a second road from out of Whitmore, NC-TAM?
Yes.
And I just want to point out one thing. The conditions when the Navy first proposed that road out of NC-TAM, separate road, has changed drastically, because when the study was done to support just all the traffic going down Whitmore Avenue and those people going to the NSA building to make a right turn and go around through Schofield. Unfortunately, when they did that study, it was right in the middle of the deployment of the 25th Division. So that study is, I would say, invalid, because and I don't think they ever did a follow-up to that. But so the problem is going to be, it's bigger now than just second road only out of Whitmore. It's got to be road improvements all along Willikina. So I just want to point that out. Thanks.
No, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Yes, TJ.
Aloha, David. Good to see you. I just would like to ask that you keep us updated on what the state is actually going to do with that land in the tech park that was supposed to be slated for the first responders campus. More pointedly, I'd like to know if ADC is going to take control of that land, and if they are, what is it going to cost us? Thank you.
Will do.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, any questions from those participating virtually? And any questions from those here in Wahiawa? Okay. Okay, David, I think you're good.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to our Representative Peruso.
Aloha. So this has been a pretty busy month. We've continued to participate in the Kaukau for Keiki, which is food distribution to our neediest children in the community. We serve about 450 per week, so it's twice a week, and I've been working with board member Charisma on that. And I've also been doing work around civic education, so I made a presentation to the principals in the DOE system on civic education last week. But I think most importantly, I wanted to share information about something we were supposed to announce on Friday. So Chair, you are probably aware that Achieve Zero is working on a new campaign called We Are Wahiawa. And I just wanted to invite community members to be involved in that process. We have monthly meetings at Wahiawa Elementary, and my role currently is just to kind of work with our health organization, so working with Wahiawa Hospital to look at how we can improve services for our houseless community and serve them with more dignity, especially in the ER. So I was pleased to see their presentation, and I know that they are really intentional about their efforts in that area. And then with Wahiawa Health, they've redirected their efforts around towards the prevention of houselessness. So they're really working with schools and doing a lot of outreach with schools in our area in all sorts of public health areas. So they're creating community schools throughout our complex. But with this campaign, the We Are Wahiawa program, we're also re-inviting Family Promise back to the community. So if you folks remember, this was an effort prior to the pandemic that we made to invite that particular nonprofit into the community to work with our faith-based organizations to provide transitional housing for folks who are maybe coming out of the HONU program or who are ready for transitional housing and ready for that kind of supportive wraparound community. So that's kind of another dimension of what's happening. But I think that as we move forward, Nikki will be coming to the board, talking more about the campaign and asking for specific kinds of help from the community. I think that it's important, like in the point in time count identifies the fact that most of the members of our houseless community actually come from our community. They are, graduates of Lelehua High School. They have family here. So they would like to stay here. And that's part of the reason it's so important that we have transitional housing and affordable housing for them. And I think the last thing that I'd like to share is that I'm really proud to introduce our new office manager. So Yvonne, if you could turn on your camera. Yvonne Euro is a Lelehua High graduate, and she got her bachelor's from the University of British Columbia in natural resource conservation. And she has a master's in public administration from Manoa. And she served as, she did a practicum with our office last session, and now she'll be serving as our office manager. So we're really grateful to have her. And I don't know if her camera is working. There she is. So if you have any questions, you can direct them to her.
Hi, Yvonne. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome to Wahiawa?
Oh, mahalo and mahalo Rep Russo for the introduction. Yeah, as she mentioned, I will be stepping into the role as office manager, and I'm actually really grateful for her previous office manager, Tina, for guiding me so far, because I know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But at the helm of Rep Peruzzo, I know that there's a lot that we can do. And as much as I am excited to continue to be proud about my alma mater and continue to serve Lilihua and Oahiwa in general, I am happy and really excited that I get to work with Rep Peruzzo and get to meet each and every one of you folks as well. So mahalo, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and Representative, thank you for your report too, and for alerting the military about that issue earlier in the agenda. Thank you for that information. So we'll both follow up on that, keep in touch on that. Any questions from the board? Yes, TJ.
Aloha, Rep, and welcome to the neighborhood board meeting, Yvonne. I just wanted to actually thank Rep Peruso for not only supporting the Kaukau for Keiki initiative, which feeds all of our keikis for 9 weeks, from the week that school ended up until the time when school goes back into session. And like she said, we are feeding about 450 keiki in our community alone, in the Haleiwa community, where Rep Peruso's district extends out to. There are about 100. And I tip my hat to you, Rep, because she is out there in the hot sun, helping us to load up boxes so that our keikis can be fed. And also a great thank you also, if you're out there, to Kahumana, the organic farm out in Makaha, who has partnered so graciously with the DOE. So thanks for all your help in keeping our keikis fed, Rep.
Thank you. That wasn't a hard question.
Thank you very much, Representative, and also TJ for coordinating too. Thank you, everyone. Any other questions as we're getting close to our closing up where it's at 9, we're at 9:41. Any other questions for Representative? Virtually, any questions for Representative? Okay, and in Wahiawa, any questions for Representative? Okay, thank you very much, Representative.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha, everyone. Again, we have run into a shortness of time, so we will have to carry over once again the rest of this agenda. And then we don't have our. Okay, okay. No, we're gonna have to carry it over because we're gonna. Okay, so we're gonna. Okay. Okay, so we are at 9:42 and we have to be out of here in 10 minutes. So we are going to carry this over again, and so we're going to hold off on board actions, meetings for items B, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, and E, and committee reports. And we're going to skip the announcements as well at this point then. Okay, all right. So we're going to carry over. We're on recess for next month, and we'll resume in September. Yeah. Okay. All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.